Hello, everybody. Welcome to our very last body system. So our last video that you will have from me. And we're going to be talking about the circulatory system. So right here I have a beautiful picture of an actual heart with all these different cool attachments and stuff that we're going to learn about today. And remember, if you watched my video from the beginning of the week, if you're interested in seeing a live heart dissection, make sure that you're going and signing up for which dissection you want to be a part of. And that again will be available on Wednesday at 9 a.m. All right, so when we're talking about the circulatory system, it has two jobs. Okay? The very first one that's very important is transportation. Okay? And we know transportation is like movement, right? So if you get in a car and you have transportation from your house to school, right? You're moving from one place to another. And that's what blood does. So blood carries food, water, and oxygen to every single cell in your body. Okay? So we think of how your digestive system breaks down food, it gives you nutrients, but actually your blood is going to be the system that takes those nutrients and makes sure that all of your cells receive them. Okay, so your small intestine breaks down food, and then the circulatory system takes those nutrients and makes sure that you get it to your brain, and you get it to your lungs, and you get it to your muscles in your little pinky toe. And so, again, we talk about these systems working together, and all of them have to depend on one another. They also carry water and they carry oxygen to cells. And we're going to talk about oxygen in a little bit when we talk about the blood flow. The second job of the circulatory system is elimination, and that just means getting rid of something, right? So blood is going to carry waste such as carbon dioxide, and it's going to get it out of your body. Okay, so it's going to also work together with that excretory system. It's going to work with your respiratory system so that when you breathe in oxygen, right, our body turns it into carbon dioxide, which we don't want anymore. So the blood is going to take that carbon dioxide and make sure we can get rid of that. All right, so we have our major parts of the circulatory system, and of course, it's going to be the heart. That is a huge muscle that's going to push blood throughout your entire body, and it has 4 chambers, which are kind of like little rooms almost. So your heart's broken up into these 4 pieces on the inside, and I'll show you that in a little bit. And again, that's something, if you're interested in the dissection, that you'll be able to see. If you're looking at this heart and you think that that doesn't seem like something you'd be interested in, maybe you can pick one of the other things. There are 3 other things that make up the circulatory system. So we of course have the heart, which is our main muscle, and then we have 3 different types of blood vessels. The first one is arteries, and they are going to bring blood away from the heart. Okay, so I think artery starts with an A, and away starts with an A. So arteries, away. Okay, it's going to bring it away. So the other one are your veins, right? They're going to bring blood towards the heart. And then we have these things called capillaries. So they're going to be these little teeny tiny little arteries that are going to bring the blood to all of the individual cells. So that's why, like, if you get a cut, most of the time you're just kind of going through those capillaries. Arteries and veins are going to have a lot more pressure and a lot more blood coming through them. So here's just a couple examples in picture form for you. So arteries are going to bring blood away, right? So here's our arrow, and then it kind of goes, gets delivered, and then veins bring it back to the heart. And so you can see how they very much overlap, right? So wherever you're going to have an artery, you're really going to have a vein, because if blood's going somewhere, it's going to have to come back. Okay, so usually they're overlapped. Yes, these are color-coded in red and blue. No, your blood is not blue. It is never blue. It never has been blue. You are not an octopus, which I think is one of the only kinds of animals that actually has blue blood. It's false. I don't know who's telling you this, but it's a myth. So just the last thing I want to do before we are done with this lesson is we're going to diagram the flow of blood through the heart and through the body. And I just want to make a really quick point. So when we're diagramming anatomy, a lot of times when we're doing it, our left and our right get swapped. Okay. So when we look at the heart, this one, instead of being the left, it's actually the right-hand side, right? And the reason for this is because we are 3D. So if someone is standing in front of you, your left shoulder is going to match up with their right shoulder, right? If you're standing face to face, right? So even right here with this little guy right here, right? So this is his right shoulder, but my left shoulder is matched up with that, okay? So our directions get a little bit funky, but it's because we're 3D, right? And we can't just say, oh, so my heart's on this side, so your heart's gonna match up. No, that's not how it works, okay? So our directions get a little bit swapped. So the last thing we're gonna do today is we're gonna show the path that blood takes throughout the body and through the heart. It's really important because we have talked a lot about how your body systems work together. And this is where your blood and your respiratory system work hand in hand. Okay, so the circulatory and your respiratory. So we're going to start diagramming. And the only unfortunate thing about this diagram is that even though there's numbers on here, that doesn't mean that the blood flow goes in that order. So just follow over here and follow the arrows that I create. So we are going to start with number 1, okay? So blood comes in here. And number 1 is called your right atrium. You can see that over here on the right-hand side. And remember how we talked about the heart, and it has 4 chambers, and this is one of those chambers, okay? So blood comes in this way, and it's gonna go down into a different chamber, okay? So it's gonna go down into here, and our number 2 is called the right ventricle. And remember, just what we talked about, we're diagramming anatomy, so our left matches up with the right, okay? So this is the right-hand side of the heart. Okay. And when the blood is in here, it doesn't have a whole lot of oxygen. Okay. It's just come in from a long, long trip around the body. It doesn't have a whole lot of oxygen. So it's actually going to head out to go get some. Okay. So it's going to head out this way. And this one, number 5, is called the pulmonary artery. And we know it's an artery because if you look at this arrow here, it's taking the blood out of the body. Okay? Or, sorry, not out of the body. That would be very unfortunate. Out of the heart, okay? It's going away from the heart. And where it's going is it's actually going up here, the lungs. And why would it go to the lungs? What's the point of that? Goes to the lungs to get oxygen, right? The blood is going to transport oxygen throughout the body, so it has to get it from somewhere. So it goes to the lungs, it picks up the oxygen, and then it's going to come back into the heart through this number 9, okay? So number 9 is going to be a vein, and it is the pulmonary vein, okay? Veins bring blood back into the heart. And remember how we said when we were looking at it that for every artery, there's going to be a matching vein, okay? So the pulmonary artery brings your blood to the lungs. It picks up some oxygen, and it's going to bring it back into the heart, okay? So it goes back into the heart, and it's going to come back into this number 3. And what do you think number 3 is? Over here, we have the right atrium. This one is going to be the left atrium, okay? And it's going to go down into number 4. Number 4 then is going to be our left ventricle, okay? And the heart's really cool because it has these 4 chambers, and it also has these things called valves. Okay, so you can see it really good on this side, how it's almost like this little passageway where the blood goes through. And the job of the valves is to make sure that the blood only goes one way. Okay, so the blood goes from the atrium to the ventricle. We don't want it going backwards, right? So if you go to flush a toilet, you only want it to go one way. You don't want it coming back up, right? That's the job of these valves that are inside of your heart. And when they open and close, that's actually how you can hear your heartbeat, right? Those are your valves closing and opening to say ba-boom, ba-boom, right? How fast that blood is coming in and out of your heart. Sometimes valves can be broken. My mom had a valve that was leaky. So instead of the blood all going one way, a little bit would come back up. So it wasn't getting enough blood to the rest of her body. So she actually went in and got it fixed. So she has a fake valve, and it's a mechanical one. And if I put my head against her chest, I can hear it like ticking, doing the so you can still hear it, but it's a much like mechanical sound, which is kind of cool. All right, so your blood goes in here, and now since it actually has oxygen, we are going to send it out through this big giant artery, and this is called the aorta. Okay. And the aorta is super important. It's very strong. A lot of blood goes through there. And the reason it's super strong is because once it leaves the aorta, it's going to go to all of the rest of your body. Okay, which is really important, right? We need to make sure that your very top of your brain cells, to the ends of your fingertips, to your liver, everywhere is getting this oxygenated blood. Okay, so wherever it goes to the body and it hand delivers the oxygen. It's like, here you go, special delivery from Amazon, the Amazon of your circulatory system. Okay, so then once it hits that, the blood is going to come back. It's given its delivery, so now the tank is empty, right? And it's going to come back in to the heart, okay, through number 7 or number 8, which are both the vena cava. It's just you have one of those for the top half of your body and the bottom half of your body. And so those two are actually the same type of vein. Okay, and I know that gets a little messy, but remember, we're going to start here with number 1. So 1, we have right atrium to the right ventricle. Excuse me. We're going to pump it all the way out of the body through the pulmonary artery, and it's going to go to the lungs to get some oxygen. It's going to come on back through the pulmonary vein. Remember, veins bring them back to the heart. Left atrium, left ventricle. Push it out through the aorta. It's going to go to all of the body, and then it's going to come back. This takes about 1 minute to complete. 1 minute for this entire cycle to happen. So you get a lot of blood coursing through your body throughout the day. So it's really important that you keep your heart nice and healthy. Smiley face. Okay, that looks very evil. All right. Use this for your next assignment. Have a great day.